Welcome back, fellow explorers of the AI universe. The 1960s and 70s, a vibrant era where space odysseys, HAL 9000 and Star Trek's sentient androids not just decorated our silver screens, but also carved a new dream into our collective psyche. But was AI merely a cinematic fascination? Was it just a figment of our creative narratives, or was there more unfolding in the world of silicon? Today on the history of AI, we'll travel back in time to the golden years of early AI. If you share our excitement about this fantastic journey, don't forget to subscribe and share our series. Our journey into the world of early AI begins with some of the era's most iconic projects that challenged the then status quo and revolutionized our understanding of what machines could do. Take, for instance, ELIZA, the brainchild of Joseph Weizenbaum at MIT. This ingenious program, far from the sophisticated AI we know today, still managed to simulate the responses of a psychotherapist, convincingly enough to make people believe they were conversing with a human. And then there was SHRDLU, a unique program created by Terry Winograd. Unlike anything before, SHRDLU interacted with a virtual world made up of geometric shapes, parsing instructions from the user and even asking clarifying questions when confused. These might sound simple today, but back in their time, ELIZA and SHRDLU were nothing short of revolutionary. Fascinating, isn't it? Let's dive deeper into the workings of these groundbreaking programs. ELIZA, often referred to as the computer psychotherapist, was built around a simple yet effective method called pattern matching, a form of symbolic processing. Here's an example of ELIZA in action. As you can see, ELIZA would match input from the user to a set of predefined patterns and respond based on scripted templates. A simple trick, but effective enough to fool people into believing that ELIZA truly understood their feelings. Joseph Weizenbaum, ELIZA's creator, was taken aback by this. He hadn't intended for ELIZA to be seen as genuinely intelligent or empathetic. Now let's listen to his take in this experiment.
And I asked her to my office and sat her down at the keyboard, and then she began to type. And of course, I looked over her shoulder to make sure that everything was operating properly. After 2 or 3 interchanges with the machine, she turned to me and she said, "Would you mind leaving the room, please?"
And yet she knew, as Weizenbaum did, that ELIZA didn't understand a single word that was being typed into it.
You're like my father in some ways. You don't argue with me.
Why do you think I don't argue with you?
You're afraid of me.
Does it please you to think I'm afraid of you?
My father's afraid of everybody.
This experiment raised 2 fascinating questions. How do we distinguish between a machine merely simulating understanding and truly understanding? And the second question is, does this miss have some daddy issues? Give your answers in the comments below. Now, moving on to SHRDLU. While ELIZA simulated human-like conversation, SHRDLU embodied another dimension of AI understanding the semantics of language in a specific context. Here, a virtual world of geometric shapes. In this blocks world, SHRDLU could recognize objects, understand instructions related to them, and even follow sequences of commands. It was a significant leap in demonstrating a machine's potential to comprehend natural language and its underlying physical context. So imagine a computer that not only follows your instructions, but also interacts with you conversationally and contextually, just like a human. Isn't that an exhilarating thought? But let's not stop here. There's much more to the early AI era than just these programs. The developments in AI during the 60s and 70s didn't just stop at conversational programs. A lot was happening beneath the surface, with considerable progress made in the domains of problem-solving and knowledge representation. One of the significant advances was pathfinding algorithms, essential in navigating through complex environments. Such algorithms enabled machines to figure out the shortest or most efficient path between points, something we see widely used in today's GPS systems. Additionally, decision trees started making their way into AI programs. These tree-like models of decisions and their possible consequences allowed machines to make logical decisions based on different conditions, much like a human would when weighing options. And then came a revolutionary concept, the idea of representing knowledge in a machine-readable form. Techniques like frames, which are data structures containing various fields and values, and semantic networks, which graphically represent concepts and their relationships, became fundamental. These advances not only defined AI's early era, but also laid the foundation for today's AI. Reflect on this. How do you think these early advances in problem-solving and knowledge representation shape the AI technologies you use today? With all these revolutionary developments, it's no surprise that there was an unprecedented wave of optimism about AI's potential. This optimism wasn't just confined to the scientific community, but permeated through society. This growing enthusiasm was most notably mirrored in pop culture. Now we will watch an interview from that time period that featured Claude Shannon, a computer scientist, as he grapples with the concept of a thinking machine.
The Thinking Machine.
Hello again. With me tonight is Professor Jerome B. Wiesner, Director of the Research Laboratory of Electronics at MIT. Dr. Wiesner, what really worries me today is what's going to happen to us if machines can think. And what interests me specifically is, can they?
Well, that's a very hard question to answer. If you'd asked me that question just a few years ago, I'd have said it was very far-fetched. And today I just have to admit I don't really know. I suspect if you come back in 4 or 5 years, I'll say, sure, they really do think.
Well, if you're confused, Doctor, how do you think I feel?
We're just really beginning to understand the capabilities of the computers. I've got some film to illustrate this point, which I think will amaze you.
That man isn't playing checkers against a computer, is he?
Sure, and it plays pretty well.
Now, which color...
While most computer scientists saw it as a mere number cruncher, a small group thought that the digital computer had a much grander destiny. Being a general-purpose machine, it could be programmed to do things which in humans require intelligence, play games like checkers and chess, and solve brain teasers.
Let's see what it's turning out.
The field became known as artificial intelligence.
Can machines really think? Even the scientists argue that one.
I'm convinced that machines can and will think. I don't mean that machines will behave like men. I don't think for a very long time we're going to have a difficult problem distinguishing a man from a robot. And I don't think my daughter will ever marry a computer. But I think that computers will be doing the things that men do when we say they're thinking. I'm convinced that machines can and will think in our lifetime.
I confidently expect that within a matter of 10 or 15 years, something will emerge from the laboratories which is not too far from the robot of science fiction fame.
They hadn't reckoned with ambiguity when they set out to use computers to translate languages.
A $500,000 supercalculator, most versatile electronic brain known, translates Russian into English. Instead of mathematical wizardry, a sentence in Russian is to be fed...
One of the first non-numerical applications of computers, it was hyped as the solution to the Cold War obsession of keeping tabs on what the Russians were doing. Claims were made that the computer would replace most human translators.
At present, of course, you're just in the experimental stage. When you go in for full-scale production, what will the capacity be?
We should be able to do about, with a modern commercial computer, about 1 to 2 million words an hour. And this will be quite an adequate speed to cope with the whole output of the Soviet Union in just a few hours computer time a week.
When do you hope to be able to achieve the speed?
If our experiments go well, then perhaps within 5 years or so.
And finally, Mr. McDaniel, does this mean the end of human translators?
I would say yes for translators of scientific and technical material, but as regards poetry and novels, no, I don't think we'll ever replace the translators of that type of material.
Mr. McDaniel, thank you very much.
As we saw in the last clip, the enthusiasm about AI potential was in an all-time high. Now we will see more of that in pop culture. As all of you remember and know, we saw AI being portrayed as sentient, emotional beings capable of not just thinking and understanding, but also feeling. From the eerily calm yet menacing HAL 9000 in 2001, A Space Odyssey, to the lovable droid duo R2-D2 and C-3PO in Star Wars, AI was no longer just in research labs, but had taken center stage in our stories and fantasies. These portrayals intrigued the audiences, and AI started captivating the world. Its potential and the ethical conundrums it presented were being explored in films, books, and even music, We're sure that you too might have come across memorable AI characters in pop culture. Can you think of any that left an indelible impression on you? How did they shape your view of AI? Go ahead, share with us in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. As we look back, it's clear that these early AI projects played a pivotal role in shaping the field as we know it today. While some might dismiss them as primitive or rudimentary, they represent the initial steps towards the grand dream of creating intelligent machines. Every pathfinding algorithm, every decision tree, and every attempt at knowledge representation has contributed to the AI technologies we now take for granted. Each project added a new piece to the puzzle, broadening our understanding of AI's potential. ELIZA and SHRDLU, for example, pushed the boundaries of what a machine could do, showing that it was capable of holding meaningful interactions and understanding complex contexts. And as AI seeped into our pop culture, it changed our perceptions, transforming from a sci-fi trope into a realistic possibility that was shaping the world around us. So as we wrap up our journey through the golden years of AI, let's ponder on this. What do you think is the most significant contribution from this era of AI? How do these developments inform our understanding of AI's potential and limitations? And what do they teach us about the trajectory of AI's evolution? We'd love to hear your thoughts, so make sure to share them in the comments below. But our journey through the history of AI is far from over. We've seen the golden years, the time of early optimism, but every story has its peaks and valleys. Next time, we'll delve into a starkly contrasting period known as the AI winter. So, stay tuned for the next episode. And as always, if you found this video insightful and want to join us in exploring the fascinating world of AI, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the history of AI. Keep your curiosity alive, keep your excitement high, and let's continue to ask, what's next in the world of AI?